What's going on, everybody? Ryan Thomas, live on the Thomas Take Sports Podcast for another episode of the Thomas Take. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Patriots Week. The Buffalo Bills travel to Foxborough, and a cold front that might be coming to Buffalo has shifted on the Channel 2 Doppler radar. They've referred to the cold front as Josh Allen moving from Buffalo to Foxborough for this Sunday's game. The Buffalo Bills have a new weapon that they didn't have the last time. Number 17, the man of the hour, the man of tomorrow, the present and the future of the Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen. Safe to say I am pumped up for this game next Sunday. The Buffalo Bills, this Sunday, I should say, take on the New England Patriots, a team that has long reigned over the AFC East, but a team that has shown that there is a chink in their armor. This past week, watching New England's game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, I'd be the first to admit, I had mixed feelings as to whether or not Buffalo would be a competitor to them. But after watching the Patriots versus the Steelers, I am a little bit wondering, a little bit curious, dare I say it, that the Buffalo Bills could be a challenge to the New England Patriots on Sunday, more so than they were the first time. That's a guarantee. That's an obvious statement for the reasons that I just laid out to you, that Josh Allen will be under center for the Buffalo Bills. But I believe New England is a much different team as well on the opposite end of the spectrum than what they were the first time around versus Buffalo. And maybe it's not for the better. Saw Tom Brady miss a lot of throws that he didn't miss, that he doesn't miss. But I saw him miss those throws against the Pittsburgh Steelers on that final drive, especially throws that just seemed to sail to the back of the end zone, whether that was miscommunication or whatever reasons we want to throw out there as to why Tom Brady was not throwing the ball as well as I have seen in the last 20 years from Tom Brady, almost 20 years now. You wonder, is Tom Brady fighting Father Time? Of course he is. The guy is above 40 years old. That question is kind of a silly one. We know that there's less years ahead. We know that the end of the road is near for Tom Brady. The question is when. But we do have a strong inclination that the end of the road could be near for Williamsville North's favorite alum, Rob Gronkowski. And I've reaped the reward of that in some fantasy football leagues, playing against Rob Gronkowski, and I have paid the price somewhat for that in my fantasy football league where I own Rob Gronkowski. Now, I'm in the finals. My fifth year in a row, fifth straight season. I'm going up against a newcomer in my league, Morgan Fonzie. Shout out to him. I know he'll be listening to this podcast. Morgan's first season in the fantasy league, and it's he's going up against the grizzled vet. I would say it's similar to an up and comer versus a long time former champ or current champ or whoever in terms of the fight game. So everything history wise is stacked against Morgan. Experience wise, it's stacked against Morgan. My team on paper is much better than Morgan's, but Morgan only needs to score more points than me in Week 17 of the 2018 NFL season. That's it. Anything else is bullhickey. Bullhickey! So that's how I see it. That's how I see that, just as a sidebar. But how do I see this game in real life going between the Patriots and the Buffalo Bills? I see Buffalo playing hard, because that's what I've seen since Josh Allen came back from his elbow injury. Whether in victory or defeat, Buffalo has played to the last whistle, playing to the final whistle blows each and every Sunday. Buffalo's defense has shown up all year long. Shout out to the immortal Lorenzo Alexander for playing a more pivotal role on a defense this year than any other in years past. At the ripe age of, 34, 35? Get that man a contract extension. I don't want to see that guy leave the building. I don't want to see that guy, dare I say it, go to another team, or even worse, retire. There's plenty of football left in those legs, plenty of football left in that body, and I want to see it in red, white, and buffalo blue. As well, you have a quarterback that can show that he's got two different dimensions to his game. He can run, he can throw, but if the opposing defense plays off of him, if they don't pressure him, if they give him angles to either extend a play, to fit a throw in, to further the route of the wide receiver, or if they play off and allow him to choose a running lane, Josh Allen's going to beat you either way. He's proven that. He proved that this past Sunday versus the Detroit Lions. It was a 1-point victory. And yes, the stat sheet, 13 of 26 for 204 yards, passing touchdown, rushing touchdown. Didn't really look all that great, but as I said, 14 to 13, and Josh Allen was responsible for 2 of the touchdowns in that game. So he did all that he needed to do, and the defense took care of the rest. Can they do that against Tom Brady? Can they do that against Sony Michel? Can they do that against Julian Edelman? Can they do that against, albeit a banged-up, older, 1 foot out the door Rob Gronkowski? We will find out on Sunday. Any given Sunday, I'm never going to write the Bills off in any matchup. I'm never going to say that the Bills don't have a chance whatsoever to win a matchup. I'm going to give the Bills the benefit of the doubt with their great head coach, with their soon-to-be great quarterback, guy that I'm very high on, who is doing more with less than any quarterback in the National Football League as a rookie. I'm driving, doing some Christmas shopping today, and I have, 550 on the radio, Show Up in the Bulldog, who, I'm not going to say I'm their biggest fan, and we'll just leave it at that. But I wanted to listen to, what they had to say. I was just curious, flipping through the channels on the radio there, driving home. And Mike Shope was talking about how Josh Allen hasn't really thrown for a ton of yards. The first thing I think of course, is last season. We had a quarterback that started plenty of games for Buffalo that didn't throw for a lot of yards. His name was Tyrod Taylor, and he threw for 50 yards in one game. He threw for 60 in another, and was a terrible passer. Was one of the worst passing quarterbacks I have ever seen, and easily the worst passing quarterback in the National Football League for 3 straight seasons. The stats are there. 32nd, dead last in passing, while Tyrod Taylor, at best, 31st in passing, while Tyrod Taylor was the Buffalo Bills quarterback. You can look that one up for yourselves. But the fact that Shope defended that back then, and now he's saying that Josh Allen doesn't throw for enough yards. I think Josh Allen is doing just fine. That 204-yard total would have been much, much higher had he had receivers that didn't drop the ball. Guys like Zay Jones, Foster dropped one, McKenzie dropped one. There were some drops. Allen would have easily thrown for over 250 yards. We'd be talking about this completely different. For whatever reason, people analyze stats so much. I analyze the score. As long as we have more points than the other team, let's not pick the nitty-gritty, dynamic of the game, the stat sheet of the game. I think it's ridiculous, and it's annoying, frankly. Very annoying. But that's what they decided to talk about on their show today, and unfortunately, what I decided to talk about was bring that up. Maybe I shouldn't have, but I just needed to let people know that that's the content that they get when listening to the radio. There's plenty of great podcasts out there, not even talking about mine or referring to mine. There's plenty of other content out there that people can listen to that is much better than those guys. And I will say that Bulldog completely clapped back at Mike Shope with the same point that I'm laying out for you folks right now. He did say, you defended Tyrod Taylor all year last year, and he only threw for 50 yards. And Shope said, yeah, I did. Yeah, that's true. But, yeah, No, but nothing. That double standard, buddy. Come on. So there's this preconceived notion that Josh Allen is still not the guy. I don't know what the guy has to do. I don't know what he should say in an interview that would make people think that he is like this terrible person. I don't think people think that he's a terrible person, but I think that they're way too quick to criticize, to judge this player and his rookie season with Robert Foster, undrafted free agent, Isaiah McKenzie, waiver pickup from the Denver Broncos, Zay Jones, a true underachiever in every sense of the word. I hate to say it, but I'm kind of done with the Zay Jones thing. I'm really hoping he picks it back up, but he has just not looked good. Way too inconsistent for me, to be quite honest. Charles Clay, way too inconsistent for me, to be honest. LaShawn McCoy, virtually no running game due to the fact that the offensive line can't run block. Really, Josh Allen is their offense. Really, Josh Allen is one of the best players on this team currently. And in some games, I'd say that Josh Allen has been the best player on the field for the Buffalo Bills, if not all of them. So, being that we have Josh Allen this upcoming week against New England, I can't wait to see what Brian Daboll dials up, former Bill Belichick assistant. He knows Bill's offense. He knows Bill's defense. Also knows the offense, too, so maybe that'll help us out, too. Shout out to Leslie Frazier, who has coached one of the top total defensive units in the National Football League this year. Despite the record of being 5-9, the Bills' defense has played stout football. Trey White has had the toughest job in the NFL each and every week, lining up as the number one with virtually no number two corner behind him to help him out. Needing that over-the-top safety protection against some of the toughest wide receivers that you could play against. Guys like A.J. Green, guys like, he's played against A.J., but he's played against some of the best. They did play against A.J. Green. They played Cincinnati this year. DeAndre Hopkins, T.Y. Hilton. He's going up against the cream of the crop of the wide receivers each and every week. So to see some mishaps in any way, shape, or form, that to me is expected. That to me is gonna happen, and I'm not gonna criticize Trey White for that. Realistically, I think Trey White should have made the Pro Bowl. He should have made the Pro Bowl this year, but we'll talk about that next. So stay tuned for that and much, much more. I'm Ryan Thomas. It's Patriots Week, folks. Don't go away. Don't go away. I'll be right back.